Hello, and thank you for joining us here on the Neutral Zone. I am Phil Milani, joined as always by my trusty sidekick, my partner in crime. Really, the best way to describe this person is my everything. It's at Eric Dalala.
Phil, good to be with you. Thanks for having me on the podcast this week.
Yeah, you're on the podcast every week. You're the co-host.
Oh,
yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, kind of a nice deal.
Well,
huh?
still, thank you. I don't want it to seem like I take this for granted.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
I would never take an episode for granted either.
No.
And especially after what we just went through.
That's true.
I mean, we are outside of practice. Couple of hours covering practice like we do.
As we do.
And the skies just opened up.
They did. And I had to drag you off the field. You were like, I'm watching practice.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah. And the size of the water droplets, the raindrops.
Yep.
Huge. Dangerous, maybe.
For your hair, very, very bad.
Yeah. So maybe if I look a little disheveled.
No, you look nice, I think.
Okay,
You've cleaned up well. Don't worry.
The hair bounced
Don't worry.
back.
Yeah, it did. I had to go reapply some product.
Yeah, we got to be looking our best for NZ Nation.
That's right. We are, Phil, in a little bit of a different setup.
I wanted to stay out on the field, but the team did not. They said, we're going inside the podcast studio to practice.
Isn't that kind of crazy that they can practice inside a podcast studio?
It is crazy. And that, Ben Swanson was like, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I think he's still over there. He was I'm going to photograph this.
Yeah. It's a history, a team practicing inside a podcast studio.
Exactly. Yeah, never before done.
So we had to move inside a conference room here.
Yeah, that's just what we do for this podcast. We'll get it done no matter what.
Exactly. We're kind of like a football team. We came in with a game plan, but it's all about halftime adjustments.
Exactly.
We had to make adjustments before this thing even started.
Sometimes you got a script. You see immediately that's not going to work.
Yep.
You ditch the script. You just go play ball.
And that's
We're here to play ball.
Yeah. We're here to record podcasts, not just mess around.
Right. Yeah.
And we've got a great show in store for NZ Nation. This is a big one, Eric. The Ravens coming to town, then this is a big podcast.
This is as big a game as I can remember, Phil.
Ever.
Certainly in the last few years, I think that's accurate.
Yes, for the Broncos, yes.
Yeah.
This is I think there's the whole season, everything's on the line. It's not like a late season game where it's like, oh, it'd be nice if the Broncos beat the Chiefs like last year, No, like they still have the whole season in front of them. They've got goals, and now a big test coming in, especially after the first three opponents the Broncos faced, a combined 0-9. The Ravens come in at 2-1.
Yeah, it's not a must-win because the Broncos can lose this game and they've still got everything ahead of them, but it is an opportunity, I think, to prove yourselves as a team.
Yeah.
Because if you say you lose this week and you go win next week in Pittsburgh, you're fine. You're still on pace. But I do think if that's what happens, you're going to still have people that be like, okay, well, are the Broncos for real? If you win this week, if you beat the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson, the former MVP, you're for real. Yeah. And you're not just a playoff contender, Phil. I think you got to start thinking about, can this team make a little bit of a run in the playoffs?
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, the Ravens they just beat the Chiefs. Yeah. They're as good as it gets in the AFC. If you beat, I'm not saying that makes the Broncos like Super Bowl favorites or anything, but you at least got to put them in the conversation of, hey, they could beat one of these teams in the postseason.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair. We'll dive into that a little bit more later on. What a win would mean this Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens, and of course, we'll also talk a lot about Teddy Bridgewater versus Lamar Jackson. If you're a Louisville fan, this is must-see TV.
That's true. Must-listen podcast. Louisville.
Yeah, Cardinals.
Louisville. Yeah, you overdo it a little bit. You got a little too much honey on your...
a little molasses right in there.
Yeah, a little too much molasses.
And then also, apparently, if you're from South Florida, you got to watch this one, too.
Yeah, both those guys. They've got interesting career trajectories.
Yeah.
They both followed very similar paths.
It was interesting hearing Justin Simmons talk on Wednesday. He was like, if you grew up anywhere near the Miami area during his time, you knew about Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting. I didn't really realize how big of a deal he was down there.
Went to Louisville.
Yeah. When you leave Miami and you go over to Louisville, that's how you know it's a big deal.
Yeah, you're going to alienate our entire
I'm just
Kentucky.
AJ's going to just get really pissed off.
Our entire Kentucky listenership is going to be gone.
Upset. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't mean to. I just think that's how you say it. It's not, though, huh?
It's not. You're close, though. You're closer than someone who says Louisville.
Yeah,
that's not. Louisville, no. Louisville, no. Louisville, yes.
Lowell. That's what I said.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Eric, we also have voicemails and emails to get to.
Love it.
That should be pretty nice. We got a couple of we got one first-time caller, I think, this time. So, yeah.
Long time, first time?
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah, I think we got a first-time email, too.
Oh, yeah. We got a couple of first-time emails. You know what I think it is, Eric?
What is it?
It's the Neutral Zone stickers.
Yeah. People
uniting
love
people.
the stickers.
Yeah, the response to our stickers has been overwhelming. I'll say that.
Yeah, you barely can turn any videos because you're just churning out stickers.
I'm just trying to keep up with these stickers.
And people don't know this is a true fact. Each sticker is hand painted by Ben Swanson. It's an original. Each sticker is one of one, so they won't look exactly alike, but he's putting the effort in. He's gone through a lot of paint.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't do anything else.
No, but I mean that's not a change.
Yeah, they're not a change. Yeah. But I think people are excited about the stickers. If you want a Neutral Zone sticker, you just got to send in an email.
That's right, neutralzoneshow@gmail.com. Tell us where to send the sticker. That's important.
Give us your address and we'll ship it out there.
Gotten some emails, hey, send me a sticker.
No address.
No address.
We got to be able to.
Doesn't help us.
And then we write a nice little note, put the stickers in there, and we ship it off. So
that's right.
All for free, Eric.
That's true. Not free to us, but free to you.
Yeah, the time.
The listener, the viewer.
The emotional connection we have.
Yeah.
It's important.
That's going to cost you.
But I will say people who have received them really like them. You know, they post videos about them, opening them. They've posted some pictures. I mean, I think people like them.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed it.
Me too. Yeah.
Everything okay over there?
Yeah, I was just looking at I wasn't sure if there's any water droplets on here.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Yeah, because we were out in the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, anyway, some voicemail, a voicemail call, caller? Yeah, I guess. Voicemail lever, maybe? I'm not sure. First time. So we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. 707 Neutral. If you'd like to be a part of the show, 707 Neutral, leave a voicemail, and we'll play it right on the show.
Could be nice.
Could also get in touch with us on Twitter, at Eric Dalala with an A, at Phil Milani with a PH, non-traditional spellings.
Yeah, as our friend Tom Magnetti says, untraditional spellings.
Yeah, I say non-traditional.
Right.
Yeah, but that's an untraditional response, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Non-traditional. I think I might have messed that up.
Yeah. And then if you're watching on YouTube, just go ahead and smash that subscribe button. We listen to, we read all the comments.
We do.
Some of them.
Not nice. They were nice this past episode,
yeah.
I think.
The one in Breckenridge, we're still working on the audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't like the
That's
audio.
okay.
Yeah.
Breckenridge Brewery, Farmhouse in Littleton, every Monday, 6 to 7.
Celebrating Broncos victories.
And at some point, we'll be there even if there's not a victory. Every Monday, we'll be there.
But we're going to be there every Monday.
Yeah. So you're right.
Yeah.
Only victories.
Got it. Good. That's Breckenridge Brewery's Farmhouse.
We're trying to make it a farm home, but we can't do it without you.
Yeah. In Littleton off of Santa Fe.
That's true.
And that's where we'll be.
There's a nice
Monday.
stage.
Nice stage. And then we do the show over there. So if you want to come out, say hello.
Yeah, we'll answer your questions. We'll drink a bevy with you.
Yeah. For you.
Or without you.
I was going to say, how many did you
No, just one. I just did one.
You just did one?
Yeah. You got to be responsible at Breckenridge Brewery's Farmhouse in Littleton.
That's true.
Yeah.
Off Santa Fe.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's dive into our first topic here on this show. And we're talking about Teddy Bridgewater and Lamar Jackson. Who will have the better game on Sunday?
It's an interesting question, Phil, because Lamar Jackson, I think you think of Lamar probably as the higher ceiling guy. You know, he's the 2019 NFL MVP. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. He leads the league right now in yards per carry and yards per completion. He just makes plays, Phil, where you're like, wow, how did he do that? I mean, a 4th and 19 last week against Detroit that he converts to help the Ravens win a game. He's a really, really good player. But I do think there's a way that Teddy can outplay him this week because I think both teams are going to blitz a decent amount. Mm-hmm. The Ravens are historically the number one blitzing team in the league. I think they're like 5th or 6th right now. Just the numbers haven't quite worked themselves out yet. And the Broncos have had a lot of success blitzing. So I think it's going to come down to which one of these quarterbacks can handle the blitz better. And if you look at the stats right now, Teddy Bridgewater is better against the blitz. I think he's 23 of 28, couple of touchdowns, no interceptions, whereas Lamar's like 7 of 15 for a touchdown, 2 interceptions, 4 sacks. He struggled a lot more and has if you buy into those Pro Football Focus ratings, Phil, Lamar Jackson has a really low ranking against the blitz. So that's an area I think that Teddy Bridgewater could hold a very big edge over Lamar.
So you think the Broncos' key to defending Lamar is blitz? Because some people might say make him stay in the pocket, make him beat you with his arm down the field. Maybe if you blitz, some of those rushing lanes open up, and then he could just take off.
I mean, it's something to consider. I think you have to almost a delayed blitz. You've got to have that second wave of guys coming. And if you look at the Ravens' offense, they're really good at running the football, and they've been okay at throwing the football, and they're really good in the red zone. They're number 1 or number 2 in the league in red zone offense. But their issue has been on third down. I think they're the 30th ranked team on third down. And when you get them in those 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 situations, they've just been really, really poor. And so the key for the Broncos is going to be, swarm those running backs on first down, make a play on second down, and try to set them up in as many 3rd and long situations as you can. And at that point, I would send an extra guy or two, try to make a play. Lamar's thrown a couple of interceptions. He's made some bad decisions here. We saw in that Chiefs game, Phil, 2 interceptions early to Tyrann Mathieu. Not great decisions by Lamar Jackson. And then I think he's fumbled it as well. So there is going to be an opportunity for the Broncos to get the ball here. And listen, he's going to make his plays. He's going to escape. You're going to have him in your grasp, and he's going to get the ball to one of his playmakers. But I think there's a chance here for this defense to make enough impact plays that it's worth that risk of blitzing. So I wouldn't do it every time, obviously. It's still got to be a small part of your game plan. But to me, that's an area where Teddy could have an edge over Lamar.
I think that when you talk about Lamar Jackson, there's 2 things. It's the impact that he makes throwing the ball, and then obviously him as a runner. He's I think he's like the 4th ranked, like he has the 4th most rushing yards in the NFL.
Yeah, and best yards per carry.
Yeah, and I think the Ravens as a team are the number 1 running team in the NFL. The number 1 running team in the NFL. The Broncos are the number 2 ranked run defense. So that's going to be an area where that's going to be a tremendous battle. It's just limiting the Ravens' running attack. And that's with Lamar. But I think that there's no reason why Teddy Bridgewater can't go out there and outplay him just straight up. I mean, I think that Teddy's not going to do that in the running game. But so far in the 3 games that he's played, completing more than 75% of his passes, more than a 100 quarterback rating. So, there's no reason why Teddy can't go out there and just have a great game and lead this Broncos team to a victory.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the 3rd or 4th ranked quarterback in QBR in the entire league. You mentioned his completion percentage. He's throwing the ball down the field a fair amount. Now, I do think some things that you've seen the first few weeks might change. Like you've seen these deep shots to Cortland Sutton, to KJ Hamler, an attempted deep shot at least to KJ Hamler. I wonder if the Broncos are going to have to go a little bit bigger in formations, use a couple of tight ends, not take as many shots, but kind of control the ball. Maybe it's 10 to 15 yard passes to Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton instead of taking a shot down the field for 50 yards. We'll just kind of have to see how that plays out. You're going to see a lot of man-to-man coverage, a lot of cover 0 where there's no safety back there, and they kind of come up to either blitz you or just play the run really heavy. So Teddy's going to have to make his plays, but I wonder if it might look a little bit different than we're used to seeing. But, yeah, he can, I think definitely just from a pure quarterbacking standpoint, Teddy's played better than a lot of quarterbacks across the league. It's not just Lamar that he could outduel if he plays like this. He's just played really well, bottom line, period.
It is going to be tough for him just without Jerry Jeudy, without KJ Hamler out there, but he still has a lot of playmakers. I mean, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Albert O, Noah Fant, and then a couple of great running backs behind him there with Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. I think that you're going to have to see them get a little bit more involved in the passing game as the season goes on, as there's some injuries and stuff that pops up. I think that the running backs are going to have to be a little bit more a part of the passing game, and we saw that a little bit last week.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think the tight ends have to be a bigger part of it. Vic Fangio mentioned on Wednesday he likes what Noah Fant's done, but I think you need more than 2 catches from Noah Fant to kind of take advantage of your weapons in this game. And so I think, like you mentioned, Phil, there's a way for Teddy to have a successful game. On the other side, though, I think the running ability of Lamar that you talked about, that worries me in a couple of situations. One is the designed runs. So, like, say it's 2nd and 2, 3rd and 3 or whatever. You know Lamar has the ability to take it himself, can run some read option stuff if they want to. In the red zone, he has that ability to get to the corner. So that's one area of concern. And listen, he's really good. He's had a touchdown, I think, in like 39 consecutive games, which is like the 5th longest streak all time in the NFL for having at least 1 touchdown. So he's going to score in all likelihood. He's going to make some plays. You just got to limit them. And so that's one area. The other area, Phil, that we saw Daniel Jones hurt the Broncos, Trevor Lawrence, is that run right up the middle, on a design passing play. That to me is also a concern because when you're in coverage, especially if they send people deep, that's when you pick up those like 15 to 20-yard runs that are just, it's 3rd and 9 and it's a backbreaker.
Yep.
You can't let that happen, and that's a really big concern, I think, especially without Josie Jewell, you've got a young guy in there and Justin Cernad. So we'll have to see what that looks like, how they manage it. But those are the 2 areas where I think the running ability of Lamar Jackson could really hurt you. And so I do think with some of those runs up the middle, you'll probably be a little more aware. Like you're probably not calling a defense to be worried about Trevor Lawrence taking off up the middle. You're probably going to be a little more aware of Lamar doing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you mentioned there at the end is what I think is really dangerous is when it's really a deep play and his line protects him well, the safeties are all the way down the field, and then he takes off. I mean, that's where he's really dangerous, and it'll be interesting to see what the Broncos do. I think his running ability sort of makes pass rushers think twice before they just head up the field. You kind of have to be a little bit more assignment sound, so that maybe is not limiting Von Miller, but that's in the back of his mind. He's not able to just take off like we've seen him here these first 3 games. And then I also think that Alexander Johnson, a lot's going to be on his shoulders this week. We've seen him more involved up at the line of scrimmage, pre-snap, a lot of blitzing the quarterback. I wonder what his role might be like this week, if he's that spy, if he's that guy who's just always keeping an eye on where Lamar Jackson is. And if you do that, Eric, that means that's one less player out there doing what you want him to be doing. You have to just sort of react to Lamar Jackson. And Eric, I don't know if you've been watching the Peyton Manning, the Manning cast.
I have.
It's pretty good stuff.
It is good stuff.
At one point last week, he brought up something that I think maybe we don't talk enough about, but he was like, at the end of the day, it's all about who's dictating what to the other side. Is the offense dictating what the defense is doing, or is the defense dictating what the offense is doing? And I think if you got Lamar Jackson out there, it's really hard to make him do what you want him to do as a defense. A lot of times I think it's probably the other way around, where he's making you think twice as a defender. He's forcing you to have a spy. He's sort of always in the back of your mind, and that's what makes him so dangerous.
Well, and again, some of that is situational, right? If it's 3rd and 9, it's easier to dictate to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens how they have to play than if they're in 3rd and 3 every time. And so the 1st and 2nd down defense has to be really good so that you can put the Ravens in some uncomfortable situations, get some pressure on him, make him make some mistakes. Because if they stay ahead of the chains and they're just moving it in chunks, you're right. You're not going to be able to stay on top of it, because it's going to be, here's a pass to Mark Andrews, here's a pass to Hollywood Brown, now here's a run by Lamar Jackson, now here's a run from the running back, and they're just going to kind of stay in their rhythm. You can't let that happen. And I will say, with the QB spy, Phil, I wonder if it's even worth it. Yeah. Because it's all good in practice to say, Alexander Johnson, you're going to stand here and you're going to be a spy. But then if Lamar Jackson takes off to the edge,
you don't want him trying to.
Well, yeah, I mean, the odds that he's going to catch him anyway are probably not great. And so, to me, that's like, well, in theory, it's good that you've got a guy monitoring Lamar Jackson, but it's got to be a guy in the middle of the field that if he takes off, you can catch up to him or you can actually do something. It's not – if you're just having a guy there for the sake of doing that, it's not necessarily worth it in my mind.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to just sort of see how they try to corral him, keep him in check, and hopefully limit the big plays. I think that's what you're trying to just try to avoid those killers when you're facing him. Eric, pretty cool, though, for Teddy and Lamar to face off against each other for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, Teddy obviously goes to Louisville, has a really nice career, player of the year in his conference, I think leads the nation in completion percentage. And then Lamar obviously goes there. He's I think 3-time first-team all-conference player. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. Both were drafted 32nd in the NFL draft. Both are from Miami. I think Teddy said both of them have really strong moms, like in personality. So a lot of similarities there. Obviously, their play style is completely different.
Yeah.
But just in terms of their paths, it's pretty cool. And we haven't had a chance to talk to Lamar this week as Denver media, but I'd imagine Lamar probably looks up to Teddy a little bit. He followed in his footsteps there. Teddy said he wishes all the best for Lamar, wants him to play well in general, hopefully not as much this week. But, yeah, just a cool deal. And, Phil, I know you brought this stat up earlier. One of 4 schools that has 2 starting quarterbacks?
Well, we were debating in the office a little bit here, like what counts as your school, because these guys transfer so much nowadays.
Yeah, a little bit different than it used to be.
I brought up Cal. I said Aaron Rodgers and Jared Goff both went to Cal. And you were like, no, Aaron Rodgers went to Butte College. And
I was
like,
kidding,
no,
I think.
he went to Cal.
Yeah.
But like a guy like Jalen Hurts went to Alabama for so long and then went to Oklahoma and graduated. What school did him and Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray go to the same school? I say yes.
Yeah.
You say, well,
did Baker Mayfield, who was at Texas Tech, I believe, did he and Patrick Mahomes go to the same school?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
To me, it's more about where you graduated from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Russell Wilson's a Wisconsin guy to you.
When you got drafted, at the bottom of the screen, they put Wisconsin for Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
So that's the school I count him for.
Jalen Hurts won a national title at Alabama.
Yeah. I know, but Tua played a little bit. Tua got him.
Well, they win basically every year, so.
Yeah, that's true. So, but he had to leave Alabama and went to Oklahoma, and that's where he graduated from, and pretty sure it said Oklahoma underneath there.
No, I mean, Joe Burrow's not an Ohio State guy. Justin Fields is not a Georgia guy.
Correct.
So
I think that's the way to do it. And, as far as starting quarterbacks go, there's only 4 colleges.
Yeah, you mentioned one of them.
Oklahoma.
Yep.
Cal.
Yep.
I'm trying to think about where else.
Alabama.
Alabama. Yep. And then the 4th one was
Louisville.
Oh yeah. That's the game we're talking
about.
That's what we're talking
about. Yeah.
Oh yeah, got it. Yeah.
One other thing that interests me about this matchup with them, are you done with the heartfelt stuff, or you want to talk a little more heartfelt?
You want to go to the DVOA? Is that what you're trying to get to?
Exactly. One thing that interests me is that Baltimore's been in a lot of close games.
Yeah.
They played
that Raiders game. It seemed like each side won that game a couple times.
Yeah. So they played that Raiders game week 1. They obviously come back from a double-digit deficit. Double-digit deficit.
It's in that cup.
Some Breckenridge Brewery, yeah. Against the Chiefs in week 2. And then they come back. They're leading, and then they come back late against the Lions in week 3. So Lamar and this Ravens offense have a lot of experience, and their defense this year, playing in these tight games. The Broncos have not played really a full game of football yet by necessity.
So don't let it get close.
Well, okay, so that's one option is don't let it get close. But I'm really interested to see how does this Broncos defense respond against Lamar when it's the second half. You really need a stop. Maybe you've gone 3 and out on offense and you need a stop on defense to get the ball right back. How do you respond? And then from Teddy, we saw Teddy do some really good things in training camp situationally. There were times when he led the 2-minute drill well. There were times where he made a big throw. They worked on this stuff a lot, and we just haven't seen it in games. So I'm really interested if you're down 3 with a minute and a half left in the game, can Teddy take control and lead you to a game-tying field goal or a game-winning touchdown? If you've got to run 4 minutes off the clock, can he do that? I mean, so those are the things to me. We haven't seen that at all. Phil, in all likelihood, no matter who wins this game,
Probably gonna be close.
I would expect in the fourth quarter, 3 or 4 minutes left, it's probably still in doubt in terms of who's going to win. And so look for Teddy to kind of make those crucial plays. That to me is where he can really prove himself as a guy.
And the other thing that is worth noting, I think, is protecting the football. We've seen Lamar
Definitely.
cough it up a couple times this year, especially in that Raiders game. His fumble in overtime, Raiders get the ball back and they go on to win. Teddy has been really good about protecting the ball. Really, the only time Teddy has made a decision that was a little bit was the throw where Hamler got hurt. Kind of like lofted it up into like triple coverage there. Other than that, he's been really safe with the ball. Obviously no interceptions so far this year. And something like that might be the difference between who has a better game this week is, just protecting that football. And we've seen the Broncos defense really create more turnovers this year so far. And they had the 2 interceptions late in that game last week that really sealed any chance that the Jets had.
Yeah, the turnovers, or the takeaways, rather, are interesting to me because they've all kind of come with the game out of reach.
Yeah.
Except for the Daniel Jones fumble, and even then you were up, I think, 10 points at that point. Like the 2 interceptions against Trevor Lawrence, the game's kind of, it's not completely over, but you had a healthy lead. And like, certainly against the Jets, the game was over. Like those, I'd like to see the Broncos make a turnover or take the ball away at a time where it swings the game. So, can it be a first quarter or second quarter takeaway where this really helps change the outcome? Because while the ones so far have helped seal the game, they haven't really changed the outcome, if that makes sense.
Well, you knew like what the situation was.
Right.
So you knew that Zach Wilson's throwing it down the field.
Right.
Here, so that obviously certainly helps. So, yeah. But I do think that that might be the deciding factor in who has a better game this week.
Yeah, and listen, Teddy has made all these decisions. I think by the most they've been down is 7 points. So he hasn't had to make a decision where you're down 10 points or 2 touchdowns. Like, knock on wood, this doesn't happen. I'm actually knocking. I know people are concerned.
Yeah, they say you can't just say.
But I did. I knocked.
Yeah.
There's a table down here.
Yeah. I usually just knock on my head.
Like, say they score an early touchdown, you have a turnover and they score again or something like that. Can they come back from that sort of a 10-point, a 14-point deficit? It's hard in the NFL, but you'd like to believe that you can do it when you get in that situation. And so you talk about Teddy avoiding turnovers. It'll just be interesting when the stakes are high, when there's a lot of pressure in the fourth quarter, or if you're trailing for whatever reason, can you still avoid those turnovers? And you're right, he has been good. The other play I didn't like was that flare he threw to Melvin Gordon on the left side where Melvin kind of dodged the guy and picked up 20 yards. If that was like half a second later, it was pick 6.
Oh, I've seen him make that throw. He made that throw in the preseason, I think.
Little dangerous.
Remember when he was like in the pocket and Vic Fangio said he's kind of like Tom Brady in there?
Yeah.
He did that, I think it was against Seattle, and just swung it way
little nervous watching that one.
Okay.
But I think some of that is experience. He knows.
Yeah, he knows that half second.
Yeah.
Precision.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like a Swiss watch.
It's a big game for Teddy because I think he can prove, I can compete with the best of these guys.
Yeah. I agree, and I just think that it's he said that he doesn't want to make this about Teddy Bridgewater versus Lamar Jackson, but I do think that that's the main storyline going into this game, and I think that this is an opportunity for him to just say, yeah, I'm up here with some of the best in the league.
And how many times over the last few years, Phil, have we honestly been able to say or go into a game and think our quarterback can outplay the opposing quarterback? Not often, to be honest.
It hasn't happened.
Like we thought going into last year, this was a take by me. I said Drew Lock is going to throw more touchdowns than
the opposing quarterback.
I think I said 10 times, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
I was not correct.
No, you were not.
But I do think the way Teddy's playing right now, it's not unreasonable to think he can play better than Lamar Jackson this week.
Nope.
He can play better than Ben Roethlisberger next week. Like, those are not ridiculous things to say.
No.
And when you have such a good defense and the edge at the quarterback position, you're going to be in good shape.
Yeah. I do want to see them maybe punch it in the red zone a little bit more. Like, watching that Monday night game, the Manning cast there, one thing you saw Cowboys do is just continue to pour on the points. The Broncos haven't really done that. They've taken these big leads, and then they've sort of just
coasted.
They turned the ball over a little bit, and stuff. I think that if just let's get it going a little bit more crisper execution there.
They're going to need 4 quarters of it.
And I do think that heading into this game, you're sort of like, okay, can they score and keep up with the Ravens? And I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that they're going to need to. I don't know how you feel about this. I suspect the score is going to be somewhere in the high teens or low 20s. I don't think this is getting to 31-30 or something like that, just because of how good both defenses are. So we'll have to see how that plays out, but you're going to have to take advantage of your opportunities. If you settle for field goals, not going to happen. In the 26-0, Phil, it looks really good, but in reality,
should have been a lot more.
It should have been a lot more, but also in a normal game, when the opponent's not turning the ball over that much or not making those sort of mistakes, you're not going to get as many chances as the Broncos did.
Yeah.
5 red zone trips is a lot of red zone trips for a game.
Yeah. You got to execute down there.
Yeah.
Well, that leads right into our next topic here, and that's just what would a Broncos win this weekend mean, just in terms of their confidence and all that, but more of just the national perspective of the Broncos. Of course, the first 3 teams the Broncos have played this year are 0-9. The Ravens come in here. Ravens have made the playoffs the last 3 seasons. They've made the playoffs every year with Lamar Jackson as their starting quarterback. But, they lost that opening week to the Raiders. They beat the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. It came right down to that 4th down play where Lamar Jackson got it. And then last week, they almost lost to the Lions. So, I'm not sure how much we would have been talking about the Lions this week if they would have beat the Ravens last week. But it does sort of feel like this is a prove-it type of game for the Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about what it could mean for Teddy in terms of, hey, you're really going to, if Teddy goes out there and has a really good game, I think people start talking about him as like a dark horse MVP candidate. And I know that's ridiculous, but you think that's too ridiculous?
I mean, let's see.
Well, if he goes out there and plays really well, I think there's a chance that you say, okay, the Broncos are undefeated and teams.
He's been very efficient. The numbers he's been putting up hasn't been ridiculous. He's not 4 or 5 touchdowns or 370 yards. Those are what your typical MVPs kind of are
well, I mean, I think as long as you're winning and your quarterback rating is as good as you are and no turnovers, that sort of thing is important. So I'm not saying you'd be the favorite, but I think at least you start the same way that Derek Carr is being mentioned.
Well, he leads the league in passing yards.
Yeah, but a big part of that is the team is winning.
Yeah. Anyway. No, I mean, the team success definitely has a big factor.
Right. From a team standpoint, so putting Teddy aside, I think it means everything. I think for the first time in several years, the Broncos could be viewed as a legitimate challenger for the division. Mm-hmm. I think you're viewed as a team that's not just good because you beat 3 winless teams. You've beat a really good Baltimore team that you might not have the record to show for it because it would drop them to 2-2, but a really talented, well-coached team. It might put you in the conversation, Phil, to have a game flexed down the line this season because you're going to be thought of in that light of a really good team. I mean, this could really kind of change the trajectory of the season. I mentioned it at the very top. If the Broncos win this game, I think you have to go from saying, oh, could they sneak into a wild card spot to, hey, could they be one of the teams to kind of make a surprise run here in the playoffs? Because you would have just beaten a team that beat the Chiefs, and anybody that beats the Chiefs, in my mind, Phil, they've got to be considered kind of in that upper echelon.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, I'm not sure, how crazy I would go. I just say, okay, they've proven they can beat a good team is what I would say. I do think that when you look at the division, it does seem a little bit more wide open than it has certainly the last 5 years, I guess I would say. The Chargers beating the Chiefs show that they can really contend for the division. Obviously, the Raiders are undefeated. The Broncos are undefeated. It seems like this thing is wide open. There's a long way to go, I think, this season. But starting with this Baltimore game, we're going to know a lot more about this Broncos team in the next couple of weeks. And I think that, with the Steelers coming up, then the Raiders, and then that Browns team, I think the Browns are pretty good. I mean, we talked about that in our preseason shows.
Yeah.
I think after then, we're going to know what kind of team this Broncos team is, And it starts this week. And, teams face a lot of ups and downs through a successful season. You got to win games different ways. You're going to be in tight games. There's going to be injuries. But I think that the way this Broncos team has started this season, you're excited, but there is that question of like, okay, the opponents you've played, they're not that good. That kind of thought. I think that a win this week would sort of put that to bed. I think it just says, yeah, this team is good. I'm not sure if I'm ready to say they can win multiple playoff games or whatever, but I think you just say, you know what, those weren't just bad teams they were beating. They beat those 3 teams, and then they beat a pretty good team.
Yeah, but I think if you if you put a list together of like the 4 or 5 teams in the AFC that like has a chance at this thing, if the Broncos win this weekend and are 4-0 and have beaten a good team in the Ravens that I think currently lead the AFC North, that's a sign to me that you should be in that grouping. You look at the power rankings across the league, and who knows how much those really mean, but the Ravens are as high as like fourth or fifth in some of these. So you're beating a really good football team. I get that it's at home. I think from a more granular standpoint, if you win this game, I think your path to the playoffs becomes much, much easier. Yes. Because you're getting a head-to-head win over a wild card contender. You're moving to 4-0, which means the rest of the year, if you can go 6-7 even, you're probably going to earn a wild card spot. You don't have to worry about going – I mean, this stretch, Phil, is tough. The Ravens, Steelers, Raiders, and Browns, it's not out of the question you could lose all 4 of those. I mean, I don't think it'll happen, but obviously if you lose all 4 of those, you're back at 3-4. You probably can't make it to the bye any better than – 6-4, 5-5, and then you're really up against it late in the season. So any win you can get over these next 4, if you could split the next 4, for example, go 2-2,
really good.
You'd be in a really good spot. So from that standpoint, a win means a lot just in terms of your chances of getting to the postseason.
A lot of teams break the season down into quarters, you can't really do that anymore. It's a quarters and then a 5.
Yeah, you can't do it at all.
Yeah. But you do kind of break the season into chunks, and you say if you start 4-0, I mean you can't do any better than that.
That's true.
If you really think about it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that that would show that the Broncos are a legitimate team, and that they can beat anybody in the AFC on a good day. And I think when you look at this Broncos team, they're winning. And they're constructed in a way that has success come playoff time. I mean, you don't turn the ball over. You play a really efficient brand of football. You dominate time of possession. You have running game. And this defense right now looks to be, if not the best, one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think another thing is with the division, which you've mentioned, if you win this game, you go from – because I think this. Like, the Chiefs are 1-2.
But they're still really good.
They're still really good. I fully expect that you're going to look up in a couple months and they're going to be like 10-3, 10-2. Like they're going to go.
It's kind of like Chiefs games where the opposing team could be up like 14-0, and then you blink and it's like
right, and they're right back in it. So I fully expect toward the end of the year the Chiefs are going to be right back in the division race. But if you win this game, and you've got the Raiders at home, the Steelers look beatable. You've got a couple more games against Washington and Philly here at home. I think you start to kind of in your mind be like, well, the Broncos could still be in this division, in this division race at the bye week in Week 10. And to me, we've kind of talked all along, Phil, can this Broncos team get back to the playoffs? Can they get a wild card spot? We haven't talked much about winning the division at all just because I think it seemed far-fetched. I think with a win, I mean, no one's going to be passing out hats or anything like that, but I do think maybe it's time to reevaluate, hey, can the Broncos stay in this division race and really challenge the Chiefs for the first time in a long time?
We see this. If the Broncos win this game, they'll be 4-0 for the first time since 2016. We both saw how that season played out. So, while you're feeling encouraged about it, it is a long season. There are a lot of ups and downs, and the schedule is certainly going to get much tougher here for this Broncos team. But the one thing I will just say is that after beating the Jets, so much of the comments online were, wait until this week. Wait until this week. Wait until this week. You guys haven't played anybody. They'll wait until this week. Well, then if the Broncos go out and win this week, then what else? What are people going to say?
Yeah.
It sort of answers that doubt.
The Broncos are kind of hovering, again, back to the power rankings, in like that 12 to 15 range. If they win this game, they'll be in the
Boom.
top 10.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
I mean, there's no doubt. And you mentioned that 2016 team, Phil. When you look back at it, like that Panthers win in week 1, at the time we thought, wow, that's a really good win over a Super Bowl team. I think the Panthers won like 2-14 that year. I mean, they were not a good football team.
Yeah.
And then you play, who did they play in week 2?
I know they had a win over Cincinnati. That
Cincinnati,
was a big touchdown,
I think, was week 3,
game.
maybe.
I think the Chargers was maybe that was a different.
That was
season.
later.
Yeah, that was with the Trevor Siemian juke. That was a season.
That
opener.
was a season opener.
Yeah, on Monday night. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, they went
Dallas maybe was it after that?
Oh, it was Colts. Indianapolis Colts.
Colts. Yep.
Yeah. So, but you beat some teams.
Except those seasons, they all kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
blend
You
together.
go on the road to Tampa and you kind of you don't squeak out a win, but you're able to. They're in it late.
Oh yeah, in the Tampa game. Yeah,
I think my point here overall is that the Broncos have won these 3 games Convincingly, they shut out the Jets 26-0. They go on the road and win each game by double digits. This is a better football team than that 2016 team.
Yeah,
in my mind, and to me, because the defenses I think are about the same. Probably it starts and ends with Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah,
and the level of quarterback play, and this hurts me to say, Phil, because Trevor Siemian is a friend of the show.
He is.
But Teddy Bridgewater is playing at a higher level than Trevor Siemian. And so, to me, that team fell to 9-7. They dealt with some injuries. But to me, this team's ceiling is higher because it's a better team.
Yeah. I think another way you could look at it, too, is like the Broncos and Raiders are both undefeated at this point. But there's a sort of a general consensus that the Raiders might be ahead of the Broncos right now. And it's just because they've beaten a higher quality of opponents.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they're getting a lot of credit for coming back against the Dolphins. They beat Miami's backup quarterback after falling behind 2 touchdowns at home. That, to me...
That was Jacoby Brissett, though, right?
It is Jacoby Brissett, but he's still the backup
quarterback. He's pretty
quarterback.
good, though.
2 touchdowns at home to a Dolphins team that is, 0-3? No, they've won 1 game.
Yeah.
1-2. We're not competitive against the... I don't get that one. I get the Ravens one. I get the Steelers. I don't get the Dolphins.
We've said it so many times. You can lose to anybody any week. So to just go out there and do what you're supposed to do and execute, there's something to be said for that.
Absolutely.
I think Noah Fant said he's not going to apologize.
No, nor
for
should they.
Any win.
Especially because we said before the season, they've got to go 2-1 at the very least, and they probably have to go 3-0. And if this team went 1-2 or 2-1, people would have been freaking out. How did you lose to the Giants on the road?
Let's just appreciate some wins.
They go 3-0, and it's still, okay, you didn't beat anybody. It's like, the same people would be complaining a lot if you lost. So
I mean, one way you could think about it, and I told you this in the office, I said, if the Broncos win 2 more games the rest of the way, they'll match last year's season total.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that
is that what you said? Pretty close.
Just exactly like that is what I always said it. But that's, that just tells you how far this team's come in just one offseason.
Well, and I think the floor each week is raising on what this team can do. I said before the season, Phil, in our official prediction, I said, I think 9-8. I need to see it before I say the Broncos are going to go and win 10 games. Because I was like, okay, well...
Now you're believing it. Though.
Well, I thought maybe you split the Giants and Jaguars, and just because that's been a game that in the past, I don't know if you go and you're down in the first half of New York, you're on the road. I don't know if you win that in the past. So the fact that you've won those games, if you get a win against Baltimore, I currently think even going into this week, I think what you should expect is about 10-7. Is my guess. If you beat Baltimore, my expectations kind of go up to that 11-6 range, and
Well, I started at the 11. That's what I predicted.
You are
I saw.
You're a brave man.
Yeah, but I talking about lesser opponents and that kind of thing. As much as it pains me to say this, the Broncos were sort of one of those teams in the past.
Well, and even this year, people, if you looked at other coverage, people were like, the Giants have an easy opener.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the Jaguars have a very winnable game in week 2 at home against Denver.
Yeah, exactly. That's not the case anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Steal the show.
Yes, certainly not. Let me ask you one thing before we move on to our emails and our voicemails and stuff here, Eric. Are the Ravens still a rival for this Broncos team? They sort of been that hated team. Certainly since the
we don't want to talk about it. You don't need to say that.
But John Harbaugh brought that up.
He didn't really bring it up. He was asked about it,
and he was like, "You guys know." They say he was asked, "What do you have any favorite memories of playing in Denver, and I think you guys know.
Yeah,
and
he was trying to be nice. He said afterward, like, I've got some bad memories there too because the Broncos. He was not trying to be rude,
but it's still
he was baited a little bit.
It kind of like it struck a nerve, you know.
I think that's always one of those things. It's kind of like the loss to the Jaguars in the playoffs. Like it's always going to be there. Like if only, because you look at that season and you're like, a team could have won it all. So, just the same, but I don't know that the Ravens are like a rival. Just you haven't played them as much recently because, you know, for those of you who don't know how the schedule shapes up, you play the AFC team that finishes in the same place as you, and the Broncos.
In addition to the divisions that rotate around,
But so at the
Broncos have not been finishing in the same spot.
Right. In the very least, you play each other every 3 years. But like the Broncos and Patriots played each other a lot because they both finished first a lot.
Yep.
That has not happened with the Ravens because, like you said, they haven't been anywhere near each other, really.
Yeah.
And so, like, the last time they played was 2018 against Joe Flacco. There's no history with Lamar Jackson. And I think before the 2018 game, I don't think they'd played since 2015, if I'm not mistaken.
The beginning of that 2015 season, yeah.
But they did not play in 2016 or 2017.
No.
So it's been you know, they've played once in 6 years. So to me, the rivalry is not like, if I were thinking of who are the Broncos' rivals, I think the division rivals right now are really the only ones that are still super strong because even the Patriots, you haven't played them nearly as close.
Some of those rivalries are sort of attached to the players.
Peyton.
You know, like Tom Brady is why you didn't like New England for so long.
Yeah.
For the Ravens, it's sort of Joe Flacco. Even as ironic as it is that he ended up here, he was hated when he was with Baltimore. So you don't really have that hatred anymore for those guys. But there is always a permanent spot in the heart that will reserve a little bit of a hatred for the Ravens, I think, for most fans.
No, I think so. But it's
permanently
not
there.
a rival the same way like the Raiders or Chiefs
No,
are,
not
obviously.
a division rival, yeah, of course.
But I mean, at the peak, the Patriots, I think, were nearly as hated as those two teams.
Yeah.
But Baltimore not. I don't know if Baltimore. I don't know if Denver has an outside of their division rival like that at the moment.
Right now.
Yeah.
Well, I think rivalries are built when there's a lot on the line for both teams, and then there's a heartbreaking something, you know, or like a particularly physical, you know, maybe there's a couple of cheap shots, and then you start to have that sort of hatred. Something's got to create the hatred.
There's been some good games with the Steelers the last few years here.
Yeah.
That I almost view that as like a.
And Big Ben is still there, so there's a natural link.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, for so long, the Broncos and Steelers played each other in big games.
Right.
Something has to, the kindling has to be going.
This is a big game.
Kindle, that's a
Kindle Hinton.
Amazon product.
Kindle Hinton.
Kindle. Yeah, Kindle.
He's going to play a big role this week.
He can't play scout team quarterback.
Nope.
You know that? Yeah. So maybe not hated, but there is a permanent spot of just despise, I think.
Here's my I'm going to have to sneeze here in a second. Here's my
just waste my time, waste the viewer listeners' time. Just go ahead.
You're nice and grumpy. If the Broncos win this game, Phil, I think there's a chance here in the coming weeks that we see our old friend Jim Nantz again.
I would love that.
That to me is the biggest sign of respect.
That would be nice.
So forget the playoffs, forget Teddy Bridgewater making a name for himself, forget all the respect you get nationally. The number one CBS crew could come back.
Yes. And
it's been when is the last time? At Chargers in 2019?
Yeah.
And that was, I think, just because Jim wanted, I think, a little bit of a reprieve from some travel.
Yeah, it's possible.
It has not been.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see him. He'd come around the facility. He'd be wearing a nice
Romo's
sweater.
only done one game, I think, with the Broncos.
No, I think it's been a couple.
A couple?
Yeah.
Back then, we weren't even allowed to interview him because he was just starting out.
Saying, yeah. And then the one time at LA. So.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah, that was a game where Kareem Jackson, right before halftime, ran across the goal line and knocked that guy out. Was it Eckler?
Eckler, yeah.
Yeah, it was Eckler, yeah. So that was a big moment.
Maybe Chargers Broncos here right after the bye. That could be a nice one.
Yeah, because I think you announced on Twitter that Mark Schlereth was
Mark Schlereth is doing the
Steelers
Pittsburgh game.
Yeah.
Of course.
So that is going to be on Fox, huh?
Yeah, kind of interesting. 2 Broncos games that should have been on CBS are on Fox.
Yeah.
The Giants game, of course, to start the year, and this one.
Yeah.
Because normally the road team
Yeah,
station
exactly.
is.
Yeah. That's true. What's
And
going
then
on with that?
who's our this week?
This week is James Lofton.
Yeah, and Andrew Catalan.
The Hall of Famer, James Lofton.
So I have to wait a couple more weeks at least for Nance, but
Okay.
I think there's some games that could be coming up.
Huh? Okay. We got bold predictions we got to get to here.
Yeah,
before
we do.
Get to,
before the emails.
Yeah, before emails and
Okay.
before some voicemails here. I'll get the emails fired up here on my
Okay.
phone. So you're
going to look at your phone.
You think
Got it.
about some predictions. I'm focusing on you.
Well, so we're going to do one offense, one defense again. Did either of
I think so.
I predicted that Javonte Williams would score his first career touchdown.
Did you do that? We
I
got to
did.
check the tape. That's
I
nice.
did do
That was
that.
a good call then. Okay.
And then I also predicted that Von Miller would have the first strip sack since the middle of 2018. And if you watch the replay, Phil,
Almost.
that ball came out of Zach Wilson's hands, and then he pulled it right back to his chest. I was so close.
You would have been
2 for 2. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, let's think here. What's a good offensive prediction? I think the Broncos will be 3 of 4 in the red zone scoring touchdowns.
Okay.
Is that bold enough or not really?
Well, it's just kind of boring. I mean,
Oh,
that's
okay,
what it-
okay.
That's what it is. Yeah. I like a little spice.
Little spice.
How about I say Teddy Bridgewater throws 3 touchdown passes.
Okay.
Huh? You like that
I
one?
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
That's my
change
prediction.
mine. I'll
Okay,
change
yeah.
mine. Tim Patrick scores 2 touchdowns.
Oh, okay. Spicy.
Is that better?
Yeah,
I mean, these just get
that's
to the
better.
point where like,
Yeah, we need a little something.
yeah.
Okay, so you think Tim Patrick's going to have a nice big day.
Nice day for Tim
Yeah.
Patrick.
He's different than other undrafted players.
He's different.
He's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. He a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, how about a defensive one?
Defensively,
How about defensive?
I think Draymond Jones. Actually, no.
Oh, yeah, give it to me.
Let's go. Pat Surtain gets another interception.
Huh?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Pat Surtain the second.
Yeah, his
Again.
second. The second.
Again.
Yeah, Pat Surtain again is what we call him.
Got it, yeah.
Because Pat Surtain Sr. and his wife had a kid, and they said, what do you want to name it? And he said, Pat Surtain again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just, again.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go another.
If Pat Surtain the second, again,
Uh-huh.
had a kid and he wanted to name him Pat.
Yeah.
Again?
Again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again squared.
Okay, yeah. I'll say Lamar Jackson fumbles the football. Is that good? The Broncos have a forced fumble against Lamar Jackson.
Sure. It's not super
that.
bold, but like you need like
I'll say
a.
that.
That's
I'll say
fine.
it.
That's fine.
Yeah. So, and then a score prediction, please.
Yeah, I've been struggling with this one,
Oh,
Phil.
yeah, you have.
I'm going to go 24,
Oh. Okay.
23
Huh?
Broncos.
Wow.
I think it is going to be a close game.
Ooh.
You're going to be nice
Okay.
and nervous. You're going to have no
1 point.
fingernails.
Are we going to see like a
1
McManus
point.
67-yard field goal
No.
off the crossbar?
No
Take that, Justin
special
Tucker.
teams bold predictions.
Okay.
24-23. I think the Broncos win it with a late field goal.
Okay, I was going to say 24 for the Broncos. 3 touchdown passes from Teddy.
3
1
touchdowns.
field goal. Yeah. So that's 24.
Okay.
That unusually for me.
For it to make sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I like that. And then I think for the Ravens, I was already looking ahead. So I
Yeah.
got to stay 1 week at a time.
1 week at a
okay.
time.
Ravens, I'll say score 13.
Wow.
24-13. I'm buying into this Broncos defense.
You
I'm
think
sorry.
they're going to win by double digits?
I think it's going to be close game, and then at the end, the Broncos will do something, and it makes it a little comfortable.
Wow. Phil,
24-13.
Here's a stat for you. The Ravens have scored more than 14 points in like 50-something consecutive games, which is the second longest streak in NFL history.
What's the first streak?
The New England Patriots.
And how many games was that? Like
Longer.
million.
Longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. 13 straight
Phil
snap.
predicting NFL history.
13 points.
Can I change my defensive bold prediction from Surtain? I think
What do you think? Should he be able to do it?
this one's boring, so I won't change it. I'll just add it. I think Ravens less than 80 yards rushing.
Ooh, that's pretty bold.
Yeah.
That's pretty bold.
I think they're gonna shut him down.
That's pretty bold. Okay.
Lamar will have a couple, but I think mostly they're gonna take care of business. 24-13, Phil.
I like 24-13.
Wow.
Save it. Okay, Eric, let's get to emails, voicemails, and we'll close up the show here. This email from Lucas Bishop says, I'm the Broncos' #1 fan from Oregon.
You're from
my wife is from Oregon, so she's pretty big Broncos fan. But
well, she's not writing into the show.
But she's not in Oregon currently, so maybe that's the difference there.
I thought she is
from
Oregon.
Well, but I mean she lives in Denver.
Got it. But she is in Oregon.
At this exact moment that we're recording, yes, she is visiting in Oregon, but she lives in Denver now.
Okay, so we don't really know what to believe that you say. Got it. Phil might lie to you about
Lucas
anything.
Bishop.
Yeah.
Email back and let me know where in Oregon.
Yeah. Bend? Portland?
Yeah. Eugene?
Yeah. Eureka?
Medford? Yeah. Eureka is in California.
You said Eureka?
You said Eureka. I said Eugene.
I don't think so. No, I said Eugene.
Yeah, Eugene.
Okay. I don't know any other cities in
Roseburg,
Oregon.
Ashland. I could just keep going.
I couldn't.
Yeah, you just
Mount Hood?
There
Let's
you
go.
Yeah. I don't know if that's necessarily city, but that's people
That's
go
a
skiing
place,
there. Yeah. You could go out to the coast, Cannon Beach, beautiful.
Yeah.
Tillamook,
Corvallis?
Corvallis.
Let's go.
Yeah, Beeves. Okay. Anyway, thank you guys for always having a good conversation about the Broncos. My question is, besides Lamar, who do you think will be the toughest player to deal with against the Ravens? Thanks again, guys. But the subject line here, Eric and Phil are amazing. Okay?
Yeah.
Eric with an E.
Yeah, just what are we doing here?
Yeah. So Eric with an E. And Phil has 2 L's at the end of it.
I like that.
It's pretty close. But
yeah.
Thank you, Lucas. Eric, your answer here. Who's the other player?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit worried about Hollywood Brown because I think, he had 3 drops last week. These were bad drops. Like last year when Jerry Jeudy had those drops, those were not good drops, but he was covered on a lot of them.
Yeah.
They were like contested catches, a couple of them at least.
Yeah.
Marquise Hollywood Brown, wide open. So I'm worried he's going to have a bounce-back game, but I'm going to go with Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
The tight end. They call him Mandrews.
Yeah. Scary.
Very scary. He had a 100-yard game last week. He's probably not quite in that, like, Kelsey, Waller, Kittle range, but he's right in that next group.
Guy.
Right. He's in that group that, like, Noah Fant wants to be a part of. He's a really good player. Lamar Jackson loves throwing him the ball. They're going to have to figure out who's going to cover that guy.
Yep.
I think at one point in time, maybe it would have been Pat Surtain, but without Ronald Darby, Pat probably stays outside. So does Justin Sternad play on him? Do you put Alexander Johnson on him? Does Kareem Jackson, Caden Stearns?
Could be Pat.
You think they'll move Pat?
Yeah, maybe just because each week you got to be able to adjust. And when you look at the weapons on the other side of the ball, you want Surtain guarding a player like Mark Andrews, just skill-wise.
Yeah, I would have Bryce Callahan on Hollywood just because I think he's got the speed.
Yep.
And then you've got to have Surtain or Fuller on Sammy Watkins just because. And I probably want Surtain on him because he's got the size. But you're right. If you think Fuller can handle Sammy Watkins, then maybe you go. But also, we haven't really seen Phil the Broncos kind of travel guys that much. Yeah. But maybe in this sort of game where there is a small guy and fast guy, and there is that big possession receiver, maybe Vic Fangio changes up what he does.
And maybe, I don't know, what do you think is easier for when you're playing a guy who can scramble like Lamar? You think it's easier if you're in zone to sort of just keep your eyes on to see what's going on? Yeah. Yeah, maybe not so much travel.
Yeah.
But, yeah, definitely Mark Andrews. I think among the tight ends, he's the 4th leading tight end in terms of receiving yards.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be him. I just think that it's Lamar and then it's Mark when you're worried about this team.
And the Ravens are getting some guys back, a couple of like depth wide receivers and some defensive linemen that were on the COVID list. But the Broncos do catch a break here that some of these running backs that were as good as they are, they're not here because they're on IR. The Ravens are still dangerous in the run game, but like the talent level has diminished. So it's one less thing to worry about.
Is Derek Wolfe?
Doesn't sound like he's going to play. He's on the team, but he's been battling an injury.
Yeah.
Don't know that it's likely. Yeah. I wonder if he'll still travel.
Yeah, maybe just
Maybe
for
get a
this game.
little-
Yeah, heavy back squat going.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay, here's another email. This one's from Chris Campbell. Let's see here. I think that we sent Chris a sticker.
Sticker, yeah. Thanks, Chris.
So
He said something nice down there about the sticker, right?
we just sent it to him out in California. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, he was happy about that one. He goes, what's your take on the athletic trainer situation in Denver since Greek retired? Is there a new staff? I got a little nervous after Bradley Chubb was cleared to play, then immediately needed surgery. Are they taking good care of the injured players?
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's not a new staff. Greek, even after he left as head athletic trainer, was the director of sports medicine, so he was there every day. You know what? He retired earlier this summer. But Vince Garcia was the same guy. He's worked with Greek for years. He's been here long enough. He knows what he's doing. Vic Fangio was actually asked about this on Wednesday because the Broncos have 3 guys on IR with hamstring injuries. Was asked, is there any concern? And he said, no, we're actually happy with where we are from a soft tissue injury standpoint compared to previous years. We've been through kind of last year, the train, like getting up to speed. That was more of an NFL deal.
Yep.
It wasn't a Broncos deal. They've had fewer of those injuries, knock on wood, doing it again. So, no, I don't think there's a concern there. And speaking more specifically to Bradley Chubb, the reason he needed surgery is because he needed surgery before the game. They were just seeing if he could play through it. He was cleared. They were saying, you're not going to do any more damage. Bradley wanted to play. It just was too painful, and he wasn't able to be efficient. So it's not like they cleared him, and then after that game he needed surgery. He probably needed surgery before the game. Yeah. The bone spur was already there. They were just saying, hey, can you play with this? Kind of like when these guys sometimes break their hands and they got to play with a club, and you're like, can you make this work, or do you need to go to surgery?
Yeah.
It's not something got worse and that's why you needed it.
Exactly.
So
and for most people watching, they always saw Greek run out there and he was so recognizable. But you probably just haven't been paying attention to see Vince Garcia out there. And he's been running the show here for the last several years. Greek has taken a reduced role, had been in the background, and made his retirement official this year. But it's really been Vince's show for the last several years, and you just haven't noticed it.
Yeah, and listen, it's tricky. Every team has injuries. The Broncos have certainly had their fair share. You'd like to think that the rate would slow down with starters, but some of it's just bad luck. You'll see teams where, the Cowboys this week, for example, they didn't lose anybody. But then you'll have weeks where you lose 3 guys. And so it's just the odds say that at some point here the Broncos are going to go through a stretch without significant injuries, we hope. But that's just part of the NFL. And I will point out, I've been pointing it out every week, the KJ one hurts, but I think you can survive it. And the Josie Jewell hurts. But other than that, you haven't had, again, knock on wood, you haven't had season-ending deals.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy's coming back. Bradley Chubb's coming back. Ronald Darby's going to be back for Pittsburgh, according to him, apparently. Mike Boone returned to practice on Wednesday and should be back soon. Those are reinforcements that you're going to need. The Broncos, I think, have dodged a couple bullets with Jeudy, with Darby, with Boone. I mean, all of those. You watch Judy's injury.
It looked bad.
I thought he's done for the year. You watch Mike Boone's injury in Minnesota. The way he pulled up, you were like, that guy's done for the year. Torn quad. Like, that's just what you thought. Hip, I think. Quad.
Yeah, it was quad.
Got it. Even Ronald Darby, you're like, you just feel fortunate that that's something that doesn't take too long. So every team deals with this. And I think, to me, it's going to be okay.
Yeah. And I was going to say, even some of those soft tissue type of things, that might not even fall under an athletic trainer, sort of area, maybe more of a strength staff, that's stretching them out, working them out, getting them ready for the games physically in that type of a sense. And the Broncos have one of the best in any sport, really, in Lauren Landau. Very lucky to have him, and they do a tremendous job. So thinking that these things might be linked is not accurate.
No, and I mean, think about what this training staff has done in getting Cortland Sutton back to full strength. Yeah. Albert O, who tore his ACL at the end of October, I think, early November.
Hussein Bassi's on his way.
Right, but Albert O he's out here. He was scoring touchdowns in week 1. Like that shows to me that the training staff and the strength and conditioning staff work well together. They know what they're doing. I'm not concerned about it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you're safe there, knowing that they're in good hands.
Yeah.
So, Eric, should we get to some voicemails?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. AJ, our friend, our Lowell friend.
I'd hope so.
Yeah, he called in and let us know what he thought about this game from a Lowell fan's perspective.
Hey, good evening. This is AJ again. Ben Swanson, baby, put me on, all right? I'm just really excited for this University of Louisville. You know, I said it wrong for a long time. I'm actually going there this weekend for my cousin's wedding. So I'm all about U of L. I'm all about Teddy and Lamar. And this one, Teddy's going to win this one for sure. Let me tell you why. Teddy's not a game manager. They wouldn't the Broncos wouldn't bring him on if he was a game manager. You're not going to beat Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes if you're a game manager. All right, you have to go for it on fourth down, like Teddy will. That's what Teddy does. You should never take him off the field because he's going to get 10 yards and 4 downs, like automatically. So that's why he's playing with the Broncos, all working out, and this Sunday is going to be a great game.
AJ, first of all, before we talk about this big game for the University of Lowell, congratulations to your cousin.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
We're available on Cameo to do a toast if you need it. Just let us know. Phil charges a steep rate.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
It's worth it.
It is pretty nice.
Congrats for getting your voicemail through, Ben Swanson.
Yes. Teddy Bridgewater, definitely not a game manager. No. Automatic 10 yards, 4 plays is what he says. So.
I love that.
Yeah.
That means, I think, 40 plays, 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
Well, I guess depending
automatic.
on where you start.
It's automatic. He's no game manager.
No. He can make the plays he needs to make to win this game.
I think so. That wedding's probably going to be fun.
Yeah, some bourbon.
Yeah.
Head over to Churchill Downs. Maybe break in, ride a little horse.
I don't think that's allowed.
AJ does what he wants.
AJ does leave voicemails while he's at work, so
yeah.
Hopefully his boss is not part of NZ Nation.
And at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
AJ, you
Big
just
fan.
never know
Big
when you're
fan.
getting
I like
a
it. I like it,
voicemail.
though. Yeah. And Ben Swanson finally was like, let's get him.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Let's move on to another caller here. This is Dave in Pittsburgh.
What's up, Neutral Zone Nation? Just hollering at you. This is Dave in Pittsburgh. Just wanted to say thanks for the awesome stickers. Those things slap, and they're right now slapped all over Steelers country. So thanks so much. It was awesome to hear from you. Let's go get those Ravens.
Dave, thank you very much. The stickers do slap.
That voicemail slapped.
Yes, it did. Yeah. It slapped in Broncos country.
That's right.
Yeah.
He must really hate the Ravens being in Pittsburgh. Like, even though he's not a Steelers fan,
but just being around it,
you probably still get some like
probably his number 2 team, I would imagine.
Hatred by osmosis, I think.
Yes, definitely. And then the Broncos play the Steelers the next week.
Yeah.
So it's
I don't know what he's going to do.
Big time for Dave. And thanks for spreading those stickers. I'm glad that you enjoyed them.
Love it.
If somebody is listening or watching, they want a sticker, how do they do that?
They could send an email to neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
Yep.
Leave your name and your mailing address, P.O. box if you got one.
Yeah.
We'll send you a sticker.
Anywhere, really. I mean, we've seen some crazy addresses.
Really?
Seriously.
Yeah. Well, I think we just sent one to the moon.
Yeah, I think so.
It was expensive. A lot of postage.
A fan in Russia.
Yeah.
Fan in Denmark, Australia. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, Neutral Zone World.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a different account.
Yeah.
But Dave, thank you very much for sending that in. Any shout-outs to get to here as we wind things down?
Well, shout out to our friend, colleague, mentor.
Liz Manis-Gerald.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. Doing some
A
great
lot of
things
good
in the
stuff
community.
Yeah. Playing with dogs over at the Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
That's
Good
nice.
dogs.
And then Dalton Reisner had a nice event the other night. The Reisner Up Foundation.
I get that. That's a nice little play on words. And then it's the Fight Like a Bronco game this weekend, Phil.
Yes.
Normally honor both cancer survivors and people who have been impacted in general. But this week, going to honor at the game some frontline workers, oncology nurses, oncology doctors. And I think they're going to get a little treat, Phil. Get to run out of the tunnel.
It could be kind of cool, huh?
Yeah.
Those people have very difficult jobs.
I can't imagine.
You and I, we kind of just mess around here on camera for a little bit and call it a day.
Yeah.
Ours, I mean, it's a hard job. Let's be serious.
But in the grand scheme of things.
Yes, being an oncology doctor, a nurse there, where you see, I mean, we heard Teddy Bridgewater talk about his mom and what it was like going through that, where, he said her hair's falling out, her fingernails are changing colors and stuff, and can't get out of bed. Those oncology nurses and doctors, they see that every day at work.
Yeah, and to deal with that while the pandemic is going on, it must be even more difficult. But I thought Teddy said it best. He has no reason to pout. He comes to work with a smile every day. Great perspective. I think that's something everybody can keep in mind.
Yeah, definitely. So some good shout outs, some heartfelt shout outs this week here on the show. Eric, if people want to be involved in the show, we mentioned the email there, but you could also leave a voicemail, 707-NEUTRAL. AJ does it. Brandon from Iowa does it.
Everybody's doing it.
Tom Agnetti does it.
Haven't heard from Jeff Flanagan in a while.
Jeff Flanagan, what's going on?
Yeah. His boss must have heard that last one.
Yeah. You're in trouble. Yeah, you get in trouble. Could get you.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's pretty safe to just call in.
Pretty safe.
Yeah, and you get to be a part of the show, so that's kind of cool. And then, so we mentioned the voicemail, the email. You can hit us up on Twitter, at Eric Dalala with an A.
That's right.
At Phil Milani with a PH, non-traditional spellings.
Yeah.
And then also just leave a comment on YouTube. We usually read all those.
We do.
So a lot of comments about Eric's hair.
Yeah.
My hair too, which bounced back from the rain.
It did. We rebounded nicely.
We've been inside for a while. So we'll see what happens here with the Broncos and Ravens coming up on Sunday. Excited for this one. We'll be back next Monday, wrapping it all up at Breckenridge Brewery's farmhouse. What are we doing?
In Littleton off Santa Fe.
Yeah. From 6 to 7 o'clock. That's coming up on this Monday. If you don't live in the area, can't make it out there, we'll be live on the Broncos YouTube page. Get involved, be a part of the conversation. That show, we answer a lot of questions right there underneath the feed. So a lot of fun on Monday nights. Until then, for Eric Dalala, I'm Phil Milani. You've been listening to
The Neutral
Zone.